Hi, y'all. Welcome to LightenLab Learn. I'm Leah Ruppanner. I'm a professor of sociology. I'm a top scholar. I run a future work lab at the University of Melbourne. I'm a researcher. I have a podcast called Misperceived, and I am the author of Drained: Reduce Your Mental Load to Do Less and Be More. I am one of the leading experts on the mental load. Today, I'm going to talk to you about that big question you've probably been asking yourself. Like, what is the mental load? What is it anyway? How do I carry it? What does it look like? And how is it different from other types of work? So, the mental load, according to an article written by myself, Brendan Churchill, and Liz Dean, is emotional thinking work. Now, you will carry a bunch of thinking work across your work and life in every dimension of your life. But when that thinking work becomes emotional, that's when it's a mental load. You carry a mental load to work, you carry a mental load to home, you carry a mental load to study. If you're a student, you carry a mental load to life. Everyone has a mental load. They have a certain amount of mental load energy that they have that exists within them. And the question is, how are you spending it? How are you dividing it? How are you allocating it? I'll talk to you about this in the third video that's coming up about how do you conduct a mental load audit. But first, I want you to get some clear definitional terms. I want you to think about yourself as having certain types of energy. You have cognitive energy, which is the ability for you to think and do things that are kind of mental. You have emotional energy, which is your kind of emotional bandwidth of how you're responding when circumstances become emotional or you need to have a certain emotional quality. Say you work in retail and you need to show up to your job and you need to have a certain affect, right? You need to have a certain way in which you present to the world. You need to be cheerful and you need to be happy and you need to be kind. That's emotional labor. And sometimes it crosses over to a mental load, but not always. So you're carrying these different types of labor. Emotional labor, where you have to either give emotional energy or show up in an emotional way, hide your emotions to create an emotional context. Cognitive energy, where you're doing the thinking work. You're doing that work where you're thinking about what needs to be done or how you're going to do your work, or you're engaged in your school, you're learning. This is cognitive labor. And then you also have just the physical stuff you do. How much time do you spend, in a job? What's the physical labor you're doing when you show up at your workplace? And then what's the physical labor when you show up at home or in your life? So, as sociologists, we often talk about things like how many minutes do you spend doing your dishes? How many minutes do you spend shopping? How many minutes do you spend engaged in, leisure or care? This is your physical time. But where the mental load is different is that it is actually this thinking work that has an emotional piece that is essential for keeping our work, family, and life going. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say I am a working mother. I am there, I'm sitting down, I notice that the milk in the fridge has gone missing. Not missing, everyone drank it. A simple form of cognitive labor would be I go, the milk is down and I need to put that on a list. If I put it on the list and we check it off, either I buy it or my partner buys it or my spouse buys it or the kids buy it, that is work that is done. But here's where the mental load kicks in. When that kind of cognitive labor starts to become emotional, is when you start to do things like this. The milk in the fridge is down. I need to buy more milk. What if my kids don't drink enough milk? Are they getting enough vitamin D? Do they have enough calcium? Oh, all the bone density happens basically 0 to 5. Do they actually have enough bone density? Have I scheduled the appointment for the doctor? Wait, when was the last time they went to the pediatrician? Are they up to date on their vaccinations? Oh, hold on a minute. If they don't have their vaccinations and now all of a sudden we have an outbreak, are they going to die? But wait a minute, they can't even get in. If they die, how are they going to get into Harvard? Are they going to go to Harvard? How are they doing their homework? Do you see how all of a sudden one single little piece of what could be potentially cognitive labor takes on this emotional element and it can snowball? Let me give you an example from work. So I want you to start thinking about a bunch of the literature to date has looked, academic scholarship has looked at the mental load of home and life and that domestic mental load. But I'm telling you, you carry a mental load to work and to school, into the stuff you're doing to build towards your dreams. As I'll talk to you in the next video, there's 8 different types, and these touch on if each of these aspects of your life, your work, your home, your life, they're there. But what I want you to start thinking about is the way in which you also carry a mental load at school, if you're a student, or at work, if you're employed. And you can do things in terms of the same type of thinking work where you go something like this. Okay. There's a due date for work. We need to deliver some piece of work by this date. That's cognitive labor. There's certain work that's associated with that. You need to make sure you do it. You might be doing some emotional labor. Say you're at school, you're at university, you're a high school student, you're starting to think about, oh, are my friends okay? Checking in maybe to make sure your friend's okay. You may do that too. But here's where it becomes a mental load. I'm at work. I have a due date. I need to get things done. Wait a minute. Is my team okay? What about John? He seems like he's been a little bit depressed lately. Should I check in with him? But is it appropriate for me to check in with him? I don't know. Is that violating his privacy? But I really do care about him. But I don't know. Should I actually step in and do that? Maybe I should give this to my boss. Oh, wait a minute. It seemed like my boss was a little bit angry with me in the last Zoom. He didn't say anything or she didn't say anything, right? But just her face looked a little bit like she was unhappy with me. Oh, I mean, I was looking at the facial expressions, but maybe it's because I said the wrong thing. Am I actually saying the right thing? Do I need to get a career coach? Do I need to learn how to communicate in these meetings? Oh God, I haven't replied to that email. What about that email? Now, did I have the right tone? Did I have the right structure? What time should I send it? Is it appropriate for me to send it at 8 p.m. or should I wait till the next morning? Should I schedule send? God, I don't know how to schedule send. Wait, well, let me think about this. How do I do this? This is when work becomes a mental load. So, what I want you to think about as you're going through all of the resources and tools that I'm giving to you, I want you to start to be able to piece through when we're doing physical labor, right? The time stuff we're doing, the things that have clear start and stop times. When we're doing the cognitive labor, which can be very simple and straightforward, can be very hard and arduous, right? Of course, it can be stressful. Learning new things, picking up new skills can be cognitively difficult, but it's not necessarily a mental load until you flip into that emotional thinking work where you go, I need a new skill. Am I prepared for the future of work? What about AI? Is generative AI coming in? Oh no, I'm in trouble. This is when you start to do mental load work. It's that overlap of emotional and cognitive labor. The thing about the mental load that's unique, right, is the mental load is invisible. You are doing it all the time internally. As I'm talking about this, I'm so sorry. If as I'm talking about this, it's starting to trigger your own mental load, my sincerest apologies. You might be watching this video as we speak and you're starting to do your mental load. You're starting to think about these things. It's fully invisible. We do it within our body. We very rarely actually see the mental load unless something is forgotten. This is a unique characteristic about the mental load. It's invisible. It's also boundaryless. What I mean by that is you can take that mental load everywhere you go. You can take it when you're on a walk. You can be doing it when you're in the bath. You can be sleeping and being awakened by your mental load. It doesn't sit in a space. So you are not going to take your dirty dishes into the office and wash them in the office. You're going to leave those things in your physical space at the home. And you're probably not going to, I mean, sometimes we take work home, let's be honest. You will bring work home, but at least you have some sort of like physical space where it happens. It happens on a computer. It might happen when you're taking notes. It might be something that you're acting or doing. But the mental load is boundaryless, man. You're taking that thing everywhere. You're taking that every single place you go and you're doing it simultaneously often with other tasks. You're doing this emotional thinking work. Yes, sometimes you're doing cognitive labor. Yes, sometimes you're doing some other thinking work while you're doing it, but you're doing your cognitive labor and your mental load everywhere you go while engaged simultaneously in activities. As I'll talk to you about in my book, that's problematic because people aren't actually good multitaskers. So all you're doing is fragmenting your energy. So the fact that it's boundaryless, meaning you can take it anywhere, do it anytime, and do it while engaged simultaneously in other activities, actually is a mental load drain. It's not good for you because you are not a good multitasker. That's a myth. No one is a good multitasker. But that's a key characteristic of the mental load. Invisible, boundaryless. And the third one is it's enduring. The mental load is often tied to the people we care about the most and the things we care about the most. It's emotional labor, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, can be joyful, happy, enriching, can be deteriorating, depressing, and cause burnout, stressful. But it's tied to the people and the things we love. Because it's tied to the people and the things we love, when do we stop caring about the people and the things we love? Never. So the mental load is enduring. It's never ending. It can feel like, as the participants in my interviews described, this constant treadmill of going, going, going. One task disappears, one task shows up, and it's just this enduring, enduring, enduring rumination in your brain, ping pong in your brain, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So, in conclusion, what I want you to leave you with is mental load is emotional thinking work. It's the work you do to keep your work, your life, and your family going. It's boundaryless, invisible, and enduring. If you want to learn more and you keep going, I have more videos for you. You can follow me at Prof. Leah Ruppanner on Instagram. I'm posting stuff. You can follow me at on LinkedIn. We have the LightenLab website up and ready to go. Our socials are there too. Misperceived, I'm talking about this. And even more important, I have this book coming out to help you understand the mental load. Drained, reduce your mental load to do less and be more. And for those of you on our mental load Light Lab website, we have the quiz. You can take the assessment. We want you to come in and assess your mental load again, 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 and again. Because as you're going to see as you walk through my next couple of videos, your mental load is going to change. It will change across the day. It will change across the seasons. It will change across a year. It will change as your life changes. And so you need to be thinking about, how does this impact your mental load? And how can you get a handle on it? How can you get a measure of what's happening for you at this moment in time? So you can take control, you can start to tame your mental load. Thank you so much for listening. Mwah, mwah, mwah. More from Light and Lab Learn. Love you. Bye.